Welcome to the Game Break Now podcast, where tomorrow's NBA stars shine today. I am your host, Cody Ramsey, and I'm here joined today with a very special guest, Silas Demary Jr. Silas is a 6'5" guard who is a sophomore out of the University of Georgia. He is an electric scoring threat, which he really showed an emergence onto the scene last season with his 22-point performance against Kentucky. He will be a player to watch for the electric Georgia team this season. Thank you for joining us today, Silas.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for having me.
Of course. And just kind of getting to know you. Um, Silas, tell me about your basketball journey and who got you into the sport.
I would say basketball growing up kind of was really my main sport. I played a couple different sports. I would say my mom and dad kind of pushed me into playing different type of sports. Never wanted me to play just one sport because they was like, want me to make my choice and experience what sport I'm good at, or maybe even just having the experience of saying I played that sport growing up. So we're more so like an athletic family. Like I have a twin sister and an older sister. They both played volleyball, both played softball. So like we're a very, very athletic family, and it kind of just gave us the freedom to choose what sport we wanted to do. So I mean, my mom and dad kind of was the two that kind of pushed me into basketball.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, in reading a little bit more about your story, your dad actually played professionally in the Arena Football League and he had quite a success. Did you ever think about going down that path in football?
I definitely did for the longest. I like my biggest dream was always going to play for the University of Alabama or Power Five schools. So like just growing up as a kid, watching my dad get those accolades and like, man, I want to be like my dad when I grow up. It was always a thought in the back of my mind. But kind of like when basketball became my decision, it was kind of like a shocker to him. Like he's like, oh, but like he made it understand and like came to a mutual agreement that it's okay if you want to do that. You got to be able to choose your own path. He was like, we're gonna be put both feet in, not gonna be one foot in, one foot out. So he's pretty much like helped me throughout this whole process of just going through the different levels from high school to college and even preparing for the next level after college.
Yeah, no, that's amazing to hear that you have a great support system that really can allow you to choose your own path and make your own decisions. In looking about your basketball game, do you have a favorite player and do you model your game after them?
I would say I have a favorite player. I would say LeBron's my favorite player. But for me, I mean, he's 6'9". Obviously, I can't really like model my game after him because it's things like as in basketball, like different heights, you can get away with certain things. So I kind of just look at guys like Drew Holiday or Marcus Smart. Just look at those guys how they impact winning, and then just looking at how they defend. Because obviously, at the next level, you have to be able to defend. And honestly, you're gonna have to find your role because everybody isn't gonna be able to be the best player on the team. So I just look at those guys and like you look at it. Sometimes those are even glue guys that help win. Like look at Drew Holiday. He's defensive player of the year, offer our defensive first team. Like he has a whole bunch of accolades. Like he could be a Hall of Famer, like when the time comes. So you like obviously everybody wants the glitz and glamour of being the best player, but who's gonna be able to do the dirty work and be able to accept the fact that maybe I'm not the best player, but I can still impact winning.
Exactly. No, those are two great players to kind of model your game after. I mean, Marcus Smart contributes to winning everywhere he is. I think he's a multi-defensive player of the year at this point, and Drew Holiday coming off of a championship. So you can't really
Yeah.
understate that one. Um, and kind of looking at your journey in basketball, can you tell me a little bit more about your basketball journey? I know that you were a four-star prospect coming out of high school. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, my high school journey it was definitely well, I would say my basketball journey in general was always kind of rocky. I wasn't always the best player on my team, wasn't always good at basketball. It was always a grind. I feel like I kind of got to the basketball scene a little later. Like I played it, but I didn't start training like seriously till about the maybe the seventh or eighth grade. So I was always in between sports. So, football and basketball season as a kid, they're really close. You go especially during school year, you go there, then you go to the AAU, then football starts in August. So you in AAU like towards the end of July. So I mean, I was always just back and forth trying to just play both. But I say up until I would say maybe my ninth grade year, I was playing football and basketball. Then I would say after my 10th grade year, I told my dad I was like, I really want to focus on basketball. I think this is the sport I want to pursue. And I think that my sophomore year was probably one of the toughest years of my life just playing in basketball because I felt like I had the talent to play, but I just wasn't playing. So it was just a matter of how can I mentally tell myself like you'll be all right, like your time is gonna come. Like just being patient, you know. I was kind of looking like, did I make the wrong decision? Should have played football too? But looking back at it now, I feel like I made the right decision. I ended up going into my junior year. Ended up, I think COVID happened, but we still had a season. Instead of us playing like almost 30 games, we ended up only playing, I think, like 12 regular season games. Either 12 or 14 regular season games. Then, like, I had a great regular season as a junior. I think I took a big step of being a leader. You know, guys started listening to me, and then we ended up winning the state championship, which was like I think that was one of the like best experiences of my life because I feel like I proved to myself I can win and step up in those big time moments. Because I feel like a lot of guys, like you always talk about it, but until you really do it, you don't get that feeling. So then after that, I ended up reclassing, ended up going to Liberty Heights. I played for Team Curry. We ended up winning. We had a great summer, I would say. We had a great spring. We ended up losing in demand, like the spring championship. Then we came back in the summer championship. We ended up going undefeated and winning the national championship. So that's another. I think that's really what kick-started my confidence in knowing that I feel like I'd be a national level player because at that time you're looking at rankings, trying to get offers and things like that. So you start really showing yourself and proving to yourself that it's the reason why a lot of schools are reaching out to you. And obviously it's a lot of fun within it. Like, because now you go from as a kid looking on TV on those Saturdays when all those college teams are playing to like, wow, these coaches are really calling my phone. Like they're really interested in me as a player and a person. So then you start thinking like that. And I ended up going to Liberty Heights. I think that was another like step in life where I had to grow up because I was living on my own. You know, parents lived about 2.5 hours away, so gotta make ends meet, get to practice on time, like just figuring things out. You know, you gotta grow up earlier. I think I was like 16 or 17 at the time. So I'm with guys older than me, we're all living together, just figuring things out. And I feel like that was a great experience. I learned a lot. My head coach there is kind of like my mentor now, Mike Wright. He's been a great addition. He's always been there every step of the way. We ended up having a good year. I think we went 30-3 or something like that. We ended up winning. I think when we won Big Shots Nationals, and then we ended up losing in the state championship. But to still win another national title in high school at a prep schools is it's another blessing because not a lot of people really win championships like that. So just to win another championship was great. And then my coach ended up getting another job at Combine Academy, and then ended up transferring there for my senior year. And I mean, man, that was one of the greatest years of my life because I feel like it was a lot of adversity, even with like recruitment with colleges and things like that. Like I feel like mentally I just went through a lot that summer or that year. And it kind of helped me grow as a man and like think about life and really mature. So I think that was probably a great year. We ended up winning the state championship that we lost the year before. So we ended up coming back having a great season. I mean, we went to a lot of big time tournaments, showed out, everybody did their thing, and I think we ended up having like 6 to 8 guys get Division I scholarships, so we all ended up going to college. So I mean, it was a great experience. Obviously, you look back at my journey, like it's been very up and down, but I would say the main thing I did was just lean on my family and my support system about what I was going through. Like never held anything in, always communicated with my family. So obviously, looking back at my journey, like it's been pretty good. It's just the kickstart of it now. So
Exactly. No, it seems like what I want to tell people is the prep circuit for basketball is crazy. You have 16-year-olds basically living on their own and having to grow up and meet all these demands, as well as play basketball, as well as, you know, just really live life. And that's something that can't be understated in creating who you are today. And it seems like you've had one heck of a career already, and it's just kicking off. So that's so great to hear. I'm truly appreciative to see where you're going to be here in, who knows, maybe even a year.
Facts. I can't wait.
All right. Now, tell me a little bit about your decision to go to Georgia. I know that you're from North Carolina and played primarily in North Carolina for high school. Um, Tell me about your recruitment to Georgia and what kind of led you to that decision.
I would say so. I was originally was going to go to University of Southern California. I think I ended up going there. I ended up committing there right before our season started my senior year. So, I was 100% in. I was all in. Once it got to about beginning of March, some things started happening I didn't feel comfortable with. Started talking to my family. It was like, it just didn't look like the best situation for me and my family anymore. So I was like, maybe I need to decommit and look at other options. And then I say, as soon as I decommitted, Georgia was one of the first schools that reached out. They came, saw me and my family, and I saw the plan they had for me. They were honest with me from the jump. They told me right in my living room, they was like, you'll have a chance to start, you'll have a chance to fight for the starting spot. And when I got to campus, it was still like that. Like everything they said to me has been nothing but honest. They've been truthful from the jump. And it just felt like to me they had the best situation for my family and I. And it's close to my family. That my family's about 5 hours away, so they can come up, stay up here. I can see them. So it was all about being close with my family. And I think they just had the best opportunity and situation for me.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you're really being put in the right environment, and environment is key for success. That's the
Yeah.
thing that I try and tell everybody is if you get put in a situation where your environment is not the best in the sense that you're going to be fruitful in your accomplishments and commitment to something, then it might not be the right environment. And it seems like you made that secondary decision and look at where you're at now. It's really flourishing. So that's amazing to hear. If you were to, if you were able to offer any insight to anybody looking to get recruited to the D1 level, what would you kind of give them some insight or advice?
I would say for me, if you're looking to get recruited at like the Power Five high major level, you gotta be a guy that you gotta stick out. It might not be scoring, but it might be defending the best player or, just you gotta find ways to impact winning just to stay on the court. Obviously, going into college, it's not a lot of freshmen starting. So I would say you just gotta prepare yourself mentally and physically. Like it might be you gotta really sacrifice. Like I sacrificed a lot in high school just to be prepared for my first year. So I would just say you just gotta sacrifice. Sometimes you're gonna want to hang out with your friends, but maybe you just gotta lay back and just chill because sometimes you just gotta look at what you want in the long term. Like you can't think short term. I would say you gotta think long term and really just mentally prepare yourself. Like when you go into college, you're going against kids that's older than you, that kind of pretty much playing for their family. Some guys have kids, some guys don't. Like you going into a whole new world and you're kind of really by yourself. Because most of the time, most guys go to school, you're not really near your family that much. So you really gotta grow up and really learn life on your own. Like the most you have is probably a FaceTime call to your family or something, but you gotta really be able to grow up and really mature and be able to make the right decisions.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like you prepared yourself well in that situation, facing adversity young, and now it looks like it's coming to fruition where you're able to really grow as a person and as a player and as a whole. Now, after your very strong freshman season where you averaged 9.7 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, you earned a trio of accolades from the SEC, including all freshman team, community service team, as well as academic honor roll. This speaks volumes to who you are as a person. We can always look at game tape to see how your talents really show. But tell me a little bit more about your community service efforts and in which you were awarded last season.
Yeah, I mean, growing up back in Raleigh, my mom and dad was always big on just giving back to the community. Everybody doesn't get what everybody has in this world, so some people might have lesser than others. So I would just say my parents was always big on giving back, and even I would say like my ninth grade year, I did a turkey drive with an AAU team, so at the Salvation Army, so that kind of just started me just giving myself ideas about how when I get older, how I can give back to the community. I think in I want to say in like early December, we took some kids in Athens Christmas shopping. That was another thing we did, community service, and then I think we had a break after a game we played late in December. I took like two kids Christmas shopping. So I've just always been big on giving back to the community. I feel like if I've been blessed to be able to support others if they can't make ends meet, I feel like I can step in, and it gives the family and myself like courage, and it just gives you peace. It makes you feel like you've done something good for others.
I know using your platform and the ability to influence others. I hope others really hear your story because that's great to hear that you're giving back to the community for which has served you and supported you. So that's a really amazing attribute to hear. You were named to the academic honor roll last season. I'm kind of curious, what is your major?
My major is communication and journalism, so obviously, I kind of want to be able to be a sports broadcaster someday, after my playing days. Because I mean, you look at kind of like First Take and ESPN and things like that. Like that just looks like a lot of fun. So, you go on live TV and you let others you talk to others about different sports, and then you can look on Twitter, even you get to the point where you putting up tweets on live TV. Like I feel like that's just a lot of fun. And I feel like it's up my alley. I like to conversate about sports all the time with my teammates and my family. So I feel like just being able to do it on live TV and let others see my opinion, it'll be a lot of fun.
Most definitely. Well, I mean, we have a podcast here. That's amazing. Would be more than happy to look into something in the future to have you on to, you know, reaffirm some of the takes that you have on some of these new news breaking sports announcements.
Definitely.
Um, so would that be a path that you would see yourself if you weren't playing basketball, deciding to go down that sports broadcasting and journalism?
I definitely would. It was definitely something I like thought as a kid. Like obviously, as a kid, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But as the older you get, I feel like you can have multiple different career paths, especially in like the generation we're in now. It's different ways you can leave your mark in the world. And I feel like those are two things I mainly would want to do. But like once I do that, I feel like it's more paths I could go down just because of the way you can be multifaceted in this generation.
Completely agree with that. I mean, I think the influence of social media at this point is crazy with the network and connections and how you're able to expand your brand. It's almost a new era that we're breaking into currently, and we're just on the forefront, it seems like. Um, Now you talked about some of the awards and stuff that you've come to have in the past, not only team championships, but individual accomplishments. Is there one specifically that have stood out to you as kind of the overarching biggest moment for you currently?
I would say I feel like one of my biggest accomplishments or even a reward was, I think I want to say my junior year. We Team Curry took us to Rucker Park in New York, and I ended up winning MVP. So, like to win MVP at Rucker Park, like that means something because it's a historic place where people play, and to be able to say I've won an MVP out there is like not many people can say that. So, just being able to have that on my resume and being able to say I've done that, and I got to do it in front of family, so it was a great experience.
Most definitely, yeah. Record Park is it's one of the most notable street ballparks. I think Slam has something there every year now, where they bring out the top recruits. But winning MVP there, that's big time. That's really cool to hear. Um, so looking at Georgia basketball, you're kind of leading the charge there this coming season. As you prepare for the upcoming season, what why do you think people are underrating you guys?
I think a
Is it
lot. I think a lot of the pe reason a lot of people are like underestimating us is because we're young. I feel like we have a lot of younger guys, but I mean, even if you look at our roster, we have guys like Dakota LeFew and Tyron Lawrence. They're older guys, so that like we have RJ Godfrey. They're experienced. RJ just came from the tournament. I think they went to the Elite Eight, if I'm not mistaken. Like we have guys that's been to the tournament, guys that's have experience. So I mean, obviously we're all helping each other out. But I feel like us being young will give us the freedom to go into every game open and be able to play mistake free because it's like we can lean on each other and always be there for it. I think our biggest thing is growth. So if we can grow from game to game, like I feel like the sky's the limit for us.
I wholeheartedly agree. You guys went on a tear this last season, bringing in crazy top talent while retaining guys like you and Blue. Um, so I think it's going to be a big year for you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys.
Sure, definitely think it is.
Um, as we talk about, the team and its future, I would be very surprised if you were not named to at least one of the SEC preseason teams, coming off a big year, and there's only growth from here. Are there any individual accomplishments that you are seeking for the coming year?
I would say individually, I obviously want to make all SEC all SEC first team. Like that's the goal. Like be able to have a great year, wishing health the whole season. Like obviously that's one thing I want. Definitely want to try to be in conversation for player of the year. So I mean it's definitely individual goals, but my main thing for me is even if I don't get those goals, it's about leading my team to a tournament. Like to be able to be on one of the first teams that's brought Georgia back to the tournament a long time, just be one of the biggest goals for me because that'll just make the city on fire. Like everybody was happy when we made to the NIT and we won games. So just imagine how happy Athens would be if the basketball team goes to the tournament because obviously football is winning every year. Now we bring another sport that's starting to win more and more. That's just and then looking at the back end, it'll make more recruits want to come here. Then it'll just make Athens a way more fun place as it is already. So it'll just add more and more and it'll bring more people to the city.
Exactly. No, I wholeheartedly agree. I I wanted you to speak about yourself because you got to cherish your individual accomplishments. I know you're a team player and it speaks volumes to that, but I wanted to see if there was anything that you personally were seeking out for.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do. But most of the time I kind of like just keep it within like my family, just talking about that because more so you don't want to rub your teammates and things the wrong way. So I more so like in a team setting, it's more so about us rather than I.
Agree. I completely agree. And I think that you guys are setting up for something special this season. Now, looking at your basketball game, what do you consider your greatest strength on the court?
I would say my greatest strength is just being able to get downhill and attract so much attention to where I can get my teammates open or just get the people around me going. I feel like once a lot of the time I get my shooters going, a lot of times they can't really help off because if they have more than likely I'm going to make the right read 90% of the time. So I feel like just being able to get in the paint, draw and kick, and then just being able to draw a lot of fouls. I think at some point I was drawing a lot of fouls in the season and it kind of helps the team because now once we get to the bonus, it's like every time we get fouled, we get free throws. And it's like once we convert with those free throws, the other team is in trouble because they can't really they gotta figure out the whistle. So now it's like if they're fouling us as much as we get to that foul count, it's like they gotta make an adjustment or else we're just gonna keep drawing fouls. So
Exactly. No, I completely agree. Um, if you haven't watched your tape, you've put down some monster dunks. Getting downhill is definitely a strength of yours, and you finish with authority. So it's amazing to see. In looking at your game, is there any areas that you feel like you need to improve, and what steps are you trying to take to improve those?
I would just say the biggest thing for me is just the confidence in shooting the three ball. Like I shot it last year. But I feel like when I get way more confident and just believing that I put in a lot of the hours of just going to the gym, working out, it's like at some point you just gotta be confident in yourself shooting a three. So I say the biggest thing for me this summer and going into the fall and the preseason has just been being more confident and shooting the three. Coach White and Coach Goins, my position coach, has been pushing nothing but confidence to me the whole summer, and then for the preseason so far. And I feel like I've definitely taken the jump and just being more comfortable in shooting those shots. And I feel like this season I'll be able to show a lot of people that.
Definitely adding another wrinkle to your game. Off the bounce, I mean, you're gonna have the ball in your possession quite a bit. Having that extra wrinkle is gonna be something key, and it's only development from here. So you're returning to Georgia kind of as like the highlight of the team here. Not to boast you too much, but you're 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 a leader on the team. We'll say it that way. Have you noticed that you've been garnering more notoriety lately? And if so, how have you been managing it?
I would definitely say I feel like my name is starting to buzz a lot more, but I feel like the more and more it buzzes, I kind of just stay away from like social media. Like obviously I'll like and retweet it, but I feel like the best way for me is just to like it and then move on. Like at the end of the day, people can boost me as much as they want, but as soon as I say if I was to have a bad game, that people will tear my name down. So I feel like just staying grounded and just staying humble, it's just the best way for me to not fall into being, oh, people are talking about me. Maybe I don't need to go to the gym this day or that day. No, I just got to be this, just being an everyday guy is just the thing for me. That's my mantra.
Most definitely keeping that even balance and always working hard. I can see those attributes in you, and that's what makes a great player. So that's amazing to hear. Well, Silas, I really thank you for coming on today. You've been amazing. I really appreciate you and would love to have you back, whether that's commenting about something or maybe a future interview about, your next steps in the process and revisiting this in about a year or so. Um, I wish you all the best in your future successes. And once again, thank you for joining us today and telling us a little bit more about you.
No problem. I appreciate you for having me.
Of course.